Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, everyone. How are you all doing this morning? Good morning, everyone. I hope everybody is having a fabulous morning. Oh, we are here again, gentle people. We are here again to do what we do every single morning, and that is to read. That's all we're doing. We're reading. Yeah. We are reading the Bible every morning for the sole purpose of familiarizing ourselves with what is in the Bible. I guess you could say we are tired of being told what is in the Bible. We want to know for ourselves what is in the Bible. And so far, we have come across some rather interesting stories in the Bible, because the Bible is a storybook. Yes, the Bible is a storybook. The people in the Bible are basically recording the events that occurred during their time of living, and we are reading those stories today. Are these all applicable in our lives? You be the judge. I will read, we will talk, and you will be the judge and see if all the things that are written in the Bible are applicable to your life. People always say, if it's in the Bible, then you should do it, then you should follow it, all that kind of stuff. Well, you decide once we read. Right, Nessa? How are you doing, guys? Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody is having a great morning. Give me 2 seconds here. Let me get this thing together. All right, and let me come back. This morning we are going to be reading from Second Kings chapter 10, 11, 12, and 13. Okay, so get your book Bible or your Google Bible and come along with us and let us read. Just to recap of what we read yesterday we read of Elisha continuing to be a prophet, continuing to be revered by the people. And one of the important things about the reading yesterday is the book of Jezebel. Now, if you all remember Jezebel, the wife of Ahab, and Jezebel and Ahab, they had moved down to Syria, I believe it was, and there was a man called Naboth. And Naboth had a field that was located right beside the palace where Ahab and Jezebel were living. And Ahab looked at the field that Naboth had, and he became envious. He wanted the field. Either he wanted the field because it was nice, well kept, in a good location, had all the lovely olives and fruits and plants, whatever on it, that he would have liked for himself, or because he thought Naboth was just an ordinary man, just maybe someone who does not believe was entitled to having anything nice. Yeah, we see that happen even today. There are some people who don't believe that some people deserve to have anything nice. Yeah. So he thinks that the field of such value was too good for Naboth. So he asked Naboth to abandon the field, give it to him. Naboth said, I can't do that. He said, well, I will sell it to you Never say no amount of money you can give me could make me give up this land because it is what I inherited from my father. What does Ahab do? He goes home and cries to his wife. He says, look at this man with me, but who the hell does he think he is? Coming to deny me. I offer him money for that piece of land. He said no. Jezebel said, don't worry, I'm going to fix up a roost for him. And when I'm finished with him, you will have the land. She set up a roost and she collaborated with her friends. And in the end, Naboth was stoned to death just so that Ahab could get his land. Okay? And he got the land. It didn't even serve him anything because everybody around knew what he had done. What do they sound? But after me don't know what do they sound. We can't fix up when me don't know something wrong. Me don't know what do it, you know. I have no clue if something is wrong with it. To be honest with you, because I turn it on just the same way I always do and just start. Are you hearing me properly? Tell me, guys. Tell me if you all are hearing me properly. So that before I start reading, tell me if you are hearing me properly before I start reading. Let's see. Are you all hearing me now? All right, we're going to start reading. Anything blocking the mic? No, so the mic still right. Yes, or in fact, it is right in my face. It is right in my face. Is it better now? Okay. All right. So let me continue to tell you a little piece of the story. And so after Ahab was killed, there was a man called Jehu, and Jehu, he was determined to reign terror. He was determined to take over, and he went to war. He went to war with the kings who were there at the time. And after he had killed them, he rode up into Jerusalem on his horses and chariots. And when he was going up there was Jezebel. Now the prophet had already prophesied that because of Jezebel's wickedness in the death of Naboth, she was going to be eaten by dogs. And so it was. When Jehu rode up into Jerusalem, Jezebel was standing at the window on the second floor looking out. And Jehu saw 3 eunuchs, and the 3 of them as well were up there. They worked for Jezebel. And Jehu says, who is going to be with me? Who is going to follow me? Who is going to be in an alliance with me? Throw her out the window. And the eunuchs pitched Jezebel out the window. And they rode over her with the chariots. And by the time he sent back for them to go scoop up the body, the only thing was left of her was her skull, her palms, and her feet. The dogs had eaten her. He did not even request that her remains be put in a sepulchre because he did not want her to have any place of rest. That's how angry he was because of her wickedness. So they put put her, let the dogs eat her, so that the dog would run around and poo poo her out all over the place. That is a terrible way to leave this earth, and it was all because of her wickedness. So today we are going to continue the reading. We are going to continue the reading. We are going to move on to chapter 10. Before we go on to chapter 10, however, I want you to get your book Bibles or your Google Bibles and follow me. What I'm going to do, I'm going to read from verse 33, from verse 30 of chapter 9. We're going to read from verse 30 of chapter 9 to the end. Good morning, Sister Winsome. How are you doing? How are you doing? This marigold in Netta is putting marigold among her plants. Okay, that's a good thing. Only me, I didn't put any marigold among my plants. But anyway, how are you doing, Winsome? Good to see you, my love. Good to see you. Verse 2 Kings chapter 9, verse 30. I'm going to read verse 32 to 37 before we start chapter 10. And when Jehu was come to Jezreel, Jezebel heard of it, and she painted her face and tied her head and looked out at a window. And as Jehu entered in at the gate, she said, "At him is the peace who slew his master." And he lifted up his face to the window and said, "Who is on my side? Who?" And there looked out to him 2 or 3 eunuchs. And he said, "Throw her down." So they threw her down, and some of her blood was sprinkled on the wall and on the horses, and he trod her underfoot. And when he was come in, he did eat and drink, and said, "Go, see how this cursed woman, and bury her, for she is a king's daughter." And they went to bury her, but they found no more of her than the skull, and the feet, and the palms of her hands. Wherefore they came again and told him. And he said, "This is the word of the Lord, which he spake by his servant Elijah the Tishbite, saying, In the portion of Jezreel shall dogs eat the flesh of Jezebel, and the carcass of Jezebel shall be as dung upon the face of the field in the portion of Jezreel, so that they shall not say, This is Jezebel." Chapter 10. And Ahab had 70 sons in Samaria. And Jehu wrote letters and sent to Samaria unto the rulers of Jezreel, to the elders, and to them that brought Ahab's children, saying, "Now, as soon as this letter comes to you, seeing your master's sons are with you, and there are with you chariots and horses, a fenced city also, and armor. Look even out the best, and meet," they use a lot of meetest, "and meetest of your master's sons, and set him on his father's throne, and for your master's house." But they were exceedingly afraid, and said, "Behold, 2 kings stood not before him. How then shall we stand? And he that was over the house, and he that was over the city, the elders also, and the bringers of the children, sent to Jehu, saying, We are your servants, and will do all that you shall tell us. We will not make anything. Do thou that which is good in your eyes." So here, after Jehu had taken over, had ridden up into Ahab's palace, basically, and sort of taken it over. He had sent to Ahab's sons and said, listen, um, this is your father's kingdom. You want me to appoint a king to take over and rule. He has 70 sons. I'm sure he'll be able to find one of his sons to take over. And they were definitely afraid of him because he was the one. Remember, he had just slaughtered the other two kings, Joram and the other one. He had slaughtered Ahaziah. He had slaughtered Ahaziah and Joram, and so they were afraid of him. They said, "Listen, him not just killed two kings. So if he was able to slaughter two kings, what will he do to us? No, we are not going up against him at all." So they sent back and said, "Listen, you are now the king. Whatever you say we should do, we will do." Verse 6. Then he wrote a letter the second time to them, saying, "If he be mine, and if he be hearkened unto my voice, take ye the heads of the men, your master's sons, and come to me to Jezreel by tomorrow this time." Now the king's sons, being 70 persons, were with the great men of the city, which brought them up. And it came to pass, when the letter came to them, that they took the king's sons and slew 7 persons, and put their heads in baskets, and sent them to Jezreel. Mighty God of Daniel. You are here now. For those of you who are just coming, let me go over that again. So Jehu rose up into Jezreel. All right. Jezebel is killed. Now he wants a king to be appointed to rule over Ahab's kingdom. Ahab had 70 sons. The sons were being raised in Samaria by the older men, the prophets, and all these men were the ones raising the sons. Because back in those days, the elders had to train the sons. And since Ahab was dead, his sons needed to be raised with manly indoctrination, if you will. And so these men were the ones who were raising them, training them in the way our boy should be trained by his father. Since his father was not around, these elderly men were sort of young to them. And Jehu sent to them and said, "Appoint one of Ahab's sons to rule over his kingdom." He had 70. Why not? Appoint one of them. And the men said, "We are not going to appoint any of them, because this Jehu, we are afraid of him. He just slaughtered Ahab and Joram. So Ahaziah, he just slaughtered Ahaziah and Joram. We are scared of him. We are not going to appoint anybody. Let him be the king." Now, if this is the person who has slaughtered others, and you are worried that he is the king, why would you want him to be ruler over you? Does that make sense? If you have considered him to be quite wicked, you are not going to. You shouldn't want this person to be ruler over you. But they said, "Well, he has slaughtered those kings, so therefore we are not going to send anybody. We are not going to appoint anybody. Let him be the king." So they sent back to Jehu and said, "Listen, this is what we have said. You shall be king. Whatever you say, that will we do. Whichever is right in your eyes, tell us, and we will do it." So Jehu sent back and tell them, send me the heads of Ahab's 70 sons. Send me the head of Ahab's 70 sons. And the man them slaughtered the 70 boy picnic and put their heads in basket and send it to Jehu. You know, see, certain people are really cheap. Are really cheap. They just follow blindly. Just do whatsoever. Verse 7 says, and it came to pass when the letter came to them that they took the king's sons and slew 70 persons and put their heads in baskets and sent them to Jehu in Jezreel. And there came a messenger and told him, saying, they have brought the heads of the king's sons. And he said, lay them in 2 heaps at the entrance of the gate until the morning. Imagine that sight. And it came to pass in the morning that he went out and stood and said to all the people, ye be righteous. Behold, I conspired against my master and slew him. But who slew all these? All right. You see that trick? You see that gaslighting? He put all the heads of Ahab's sons at the entrance of the gate to Jezreel. And in the morning he said to the people, you all are mad at me, saying that I killed Ahaziah and Joram. You all are mad at me. But look, right here, there are 70 heads. You don't think me wicked? There are people out there wickeder than me. I only killed 3 people. But look here, this is 70 men. One time, who did this to you? Ask yourself, if I could be the wickedest person in the land, when somebody was willing to take off these 70 people at once. Verse 9 again, and it came to pass in the morning that he went out and stood and said to all the people, ye be righteous. Behold, I conspired against my master and slew him. But who slew all these? Know now that there shall fall unto the earth nothing of the sword of the Lord, which the Lord spake concerning the house of Ahab. For the Lord hath done that which he spake by his servant Elijah. So Jehu slew all that remained of the house of Ahab in Jezreel, Almighty God, and all his great men, and his kinfolks, and his priests, until he left them none remaining. So Jehu slew everyone in Ahab's house. And he arose and departed and came to Samaria. And as he was at the shearing house in the way, the shearing house is where they shear the sheep, Jehu met with the brethren of Ahaziah, king of Judah, and said, who are you? And they answered, we are the brethren of Ahaziah, and we go down to salute the children of the king and the children of the queen. And he said, take them alive. And they took them alive and slew them at the pit of the shearing house, even 42 men, neither left he any of them. And when he was departed from there, he lighted to Jehonadab, he lighted on Jehonadab, the son of Rechab. Malchijah ben Rechab. And when he was departed from there, he lighted on Jehonadab, the son of Rechab, coming to meet him. And he saluted him and said to him, In thy is thy heart right, as my heart is with thy heart? And Jehonadab answered, It is. If it be, give me thy hand. And he gave him his hand, and he took him up to him into the chariot. And he said, Come with me, and see thy and see thy zeal of the Lord. So they made him ride in his chariot. And when he came to Samaria, he slew all the in Samaria till he had destroyed them, according to the saying of the Lord, which he spake to Elijah. Samaria is here. What is this? If this sound get any better, let's see. Do you think that is any better? Is that any better? No? All right. Hold on. Let me turn on the iPad here. Hold on. Let me. Oh, this iPad is still running. It's still running more fat. All right. So let's go on to money. Money. And glory. No, wrong person. Oh, money and glory. Hair and skincare. Okay. All right. Let me see what's going on with Netta. Okay, Netta still planting. Okay. Is that any better, guys? Is that any better? Oh, it's clear now. Oh, okay. My bad. My bad. I mean, like the little music in the background, So, but anyway, it's okay. It's okay. Let me see what Netta doing here. So, how are this Netta plant in an eggshell, in an egg crate? Anyway, let us continue. Let us continue. Verse 14 of chapter 10. And he said, Take them alive. And they took them alive and slew them at the pit of the shearing house, even 42 men. Neither left he any of them. Now you see why. Now you all see why one man in those times had to have so many women. Because with all this slaying and slaughtering that the kings were doing around, lots of women were being left without their husbands. Lots of women were being left without husbands. There had to be lots of bond servants because lots of children were being left without their fathers. So the king, the mothers would end up being end up suffering because their husbands are dead, they are left to raise these children. So when the king come and say, "Oh, I gotta take these children as bond servants," they are too. Yes, when some man had to get short. No wonder Solomon was able to have 1,000. Verse 15, and when he was departed thence, he lighted on Jehonadab, the son of Rechab, coming to meet him. And he saluted him and said to him, Is thy heart right, as my heart is right? as my heart is right with your heart? And Jehonadab answered, It is. If it be, give me your hand. And he gave him his hand, and he took him up to him in his chariot. And he said, Come with me, and see my zeal for the Lord. So they made him ride in his chariot. And when he came to Samaria, he slew all that remained unto Ahab in Samaria, till he had destroyed him, according to the saying of the Lord, which he spake to Elijah. And Jehu gathered all the people together and said unto them, Ahab served Baal a little, but Jehu will serve him much. Wanna hear that? So he said, Ahab, oh my God. Ahab served Baal. Remember, Baal was that false god? But he is going to serve that false god much. Verse 19, now therefore, call unto me all prophets of Baal, all his servants, and all his priests. Let none be wanting, for I have a great sacrifice to do to Baal. Whosoever shall be wanting, he shall not live. So he sent to call all the prophets, and anyone who don't agree to come to see him will not live. But Jehu did it in subtlety, to the intent that he might destroy the worshippers of Baal. So this was another trick. This was another trick by Jehu. And Jehu said, Proclaim a solemn assembly for Baal. And they proclaimed it. And Jehu sent through all Israel, and all the worshippers of Baal came, so that there was not a man left that came not. And they came into the house of Baal, and the house of Baal was full from one end to the other. And he said unto him that was over the vestry, Bring forth vestments for all the worshippers of Baal. And he brought them forth vestments. And Jehu went, and Jehonadab, the son of Rechab, into the house of Baal, and said unto the worshippers of Baal, Search and look that they be here with you none of the servants of the Lord, but only the worshippers of Baal. And when they went in to offer sacrifices and burnt offerings, Jehu appointed 80 men without, and said, If any of the men whom I have brought into your hands escape, he that let him go, his life shall be for the life of him. Mighty God. Wanna hear that, people? So here, Jehu is pretending to be a servant of Baal, the quote unquote false god. So he claimed that he's going to have this great sacrifice for Baal. So he called out for everybody in Israel who serves Baal to come, because he's going to have this great sacrifice for Baal. And when all the people were gathered there, he had these 80 men in the back. He's making the servants of Baal go in the back one by one or two by two, however many by many. He's making them go in the back. And he says to the 80 men he has back there, when they come back here, you understand? If any of them, people know people, and there might be somebody who whose family member might come back there, and you say, all right, he says to kill you, but I'm not going to do it, I'm going to let you go. He says, anybody, if you let anybody go, your life will be taken if you let anybody escape. He said to the people, he said, look among you and see if you see anybody among you who is not a servant of Baal but is here, and let me know. And anybody who was a servant of the who was not a servant of Baal, that person was allowed to leave. You not belong here. Why? Because he really wasn't doing what he said he was going to do. He said he was going to have a sacrifice for Baal, but what he was really planning to do is to slaughter the worshippers of Baal. Luma Saba, how are you doing, Luma Saba? Good to see you. Welcome, 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 Luma Saba. Welcome into the live. Thank you so much for stopping by. It's not the first time I am seeing you in the live. Hold on. No, this is not what we are doing here. We are still on to Netta's miniature garden tour. All right. I think I watched this already, but it's okay. Let it run. All right. So welcome, Luma Saba. Thank you so much for stopping by, my dear. Thank you so, so, so much. We are on to verse 19. We are going to read verse 19 again of chapter 10 of the book of Second Kings. Go ahead, guys, follow me in your book Bible or your Google Bible as we read along. Now, therefore, call unto me all the prophets of Baal, all his servants, and all his priests. Let none be wanting, for I have a great sacrifice to do to Baal. Whosoever shall be wanting, he shall not live. Luma Saba said that she has been my friend from a long time ago. Have you? Oh, really? Oh. Hmm. Let's see. Did you go by a different name? Oh, why you look like hold on. Do you have another channel? Because well, a lot of people look alike. But do you have another channel? All right, we will see. We will see. We will see, Mr. Lumasaba. Oh, oh, okay. Okay, well, welcome. Oops, 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 oops. Okay, well, welcome, welcome. I see that I'm not back with you, but that's okay. That is all right. We will continue the reading. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming. I will remember that. I will remember that, Lumasaba. And here I'm running your since you are the third content creator to come into the live this morning, so you get the third device. So the third device is running your playlist. All right, so let's move on. And Jehu said, proclaim a solemn assembly for Baal. And they proclaimed it. And Jehu sent through all Israel, and all the worshippers of Baal came, so that there was not a man left that did not come. And they came into the house of Baal, and the house of Baal was full from one end to the other. And he said unto him that was over the vestry, that means the person who he had appointed to look over the vestry, bring forth vestments for all of the worshippers of Baal. And he brought them forth vestments. And Jehu went, and Jehonadab, the son of Rechab, into the house of Baal, and said unto the worshippers of Baal, Search, search among you, and look, and make sure there is no servant of the Lord here, only servants of Baal. And when they went in to offer sacrifices and burnt offerings, Jehu appointed 80 men and said, If any of the men whom I have brought into your hands escape, he that let him escape, his life shall be for the life of him. Oh, okay, because I know you look familiar. I know you look familiar. Yes, Wabenda Andre. Wabenda Andrew and I were friends. That you are right. Because I'm like, your face do look familiar. Okay, so that's Wabendo. Okay, my friends, let us continue. Good to see you, my friend. All right, so let us continue. Verse 25. And it came to pass, as soon as he had made an end of offering the burnt offering, that Jehu said to the guard and to the captains, Go in and slay them. Let none escape. And they smote them with the edge of the sword. And the guard and the captains cast them out and went to the city of the house of Baal. And they brought forth the images out of the house of Baal and burnt them. And they break down the image of Baal and break down the house of Baal and made it a draught house until this day. Thus Jehu destroyed Baal out of Israel. Howbeit, from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin, Jehu departed not from after them, to wit, the golden calf that were in Bethel and that were in Dan. Good Lord. So that was his strategy. That was Jehu's strategy to rid Israel of the people who were worshiping Baal. What a strategy. He had no time to preach to them, to convert them. He ain't got no time for that. And we find that back then, this society was very intolerant of everything and anything that went against what they believed. So he slew everyone who worshipped Baal. Verse 30. And the Lord said unto Jehu, and this Lord is capital L, okay? And the Lord said unto Jehu, because thou hast done well in executing that which is right in mine eyes. Want to hear that? Verse 30, let's read that again. And the Lord said unto Jehu, now this is the person who has just slaughtered hundreds of men. And the Lord said unto Jehu, because thou hast done well in executing that which is right in my eyes, and hast done unto the house of Ahab according to all that was in my heart, thy children of the fourth generation shall sit on the throne of Israel. Uno tell me say that not in the Bible. Uno tell me say that not in the Bible. I'm sure you all are thinking what I am thinking. So, Jehu We just read about all that Jehu has done. But all of this is considered right in the sight of the Lord. He said Jehu has done all that was in his heart to do. So it was in his heart to slay those kings, Ahaziah and Jehoram. They were slain. It was in his heart to slay all the house of Ahab, and that happened. It was in his heart to slay all the people who were worshiping Baal instead of him. And Jehu did that. So now Jehu is appointed king over all Israel. Let's read that again. Verse 30. And the Lord said unto Jehu, because you have done well in executing that which is right in my eyes, and has done unto the house of Ahab according to all that was in my heart, your children to the fourth generation shall sit on the throne of Israel. Verse 31. But Jehu took no heed to walk in the law of the Lord God of Israel with all his heart, for he departed not from the sins of Jeroboam, which made Israel to sin. In those days, the Lord began to cut Israel short, and Azael smote them in all the coast of Israel, from Jordan eastward, all the land of Gilead, the Gadites, and the Reubenites, and the Manassites, from Aroer, which is by the river Arnon, even Gilead and Bashan. Now the rest of the acts of Jehu, and all that he did, and all his might, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Israel? So the rest of what Jehu did is going to come up in the book of Chronicles. And Jehu slept with his fathers, and they buried him in Samaria. And Jehoahaz, his son, reigned in his stead. Verse 36. And the time that Jehu reigned over Israel in Samaria was 28 years. 28 years. Oh, wow. Netta has pineapple, more pineapple. Let me see what Dory doing here. So, oh, Money are doing here, doing her here. All right, let us continue. Now we are on to chapter 11. And for those of you who are just coming, guys, don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to share up the live stream. And don't forget to get your book Bible or your Google Bible and read along with us. We are on to 2 Kings chapter 11. And when Athaliah, the mother of Ahaziah, saw that her son was dead, she arose and destroyed all the seed royal. All the seed royal? All right, I guess we'll find some clarification for that. All the seed royal. But Jehosheba, the daughter of King Joram, sister of Ahaziah, took Joash, the son of Ahaziah, and stole him from among the king's sons which were slain. And they hid him, even him and his nurse, in the bedchamber from Athaliah, so that he was not slain. Oh, so Athaliah, Ahaziah's mother, was was slaying everybody. Let's read that again. And when Athaliah, the mother of Ahaziah, saw that her son was dead, she arose and destroyed all the seed royal. But Jehosheba, the daughter of King Joram, sister of Ahaziah, but Jehosheba, the daughter of King Joram, sister of Ahaziah, took Joash, the son of Ahaziah, and stole him from among the king's sons which were slain. So his auntie, yes, all the royal seed, yes, yes, that's what I realized it meant. I just didn't want to say that and then the Bible says something else. But I thank you, Netta's Nest and Card. So here, Joash's aunt, his aunt Jehosheba, stole him from among all the other seeds that their grandmother is slaying. Why would their grandmother do that? And they hid him, even him and his nurse, in the bedchamber from Athaliah, so that he was not slain. So Joash was not slain. And he was with her, hid in the house of the Lord for 6 days. And Athaliah did reign over the land for 6 years, not days. For 6 years, they had him hidden in the house of the Lord. Let me write. So they had Joash hidden for 6 years. And the 7th year, Jehoiada sent and fetched the rulers over hundreds with the captains and the guard, and brought them to him into the house of the Lord, and made a covenant with them, and took an oath of them in the house of the Lord, and showed them the king's son. Oh, Jehoiada. Let's read that again, verse 7. And the 7th year, Jehoiada, however they pronounce that, that is Jehoiada, sent and fetched the rulers over hundreds with the captains and the guard, and brought them to him into the house of the Lord, and made a covenant with them, and took an oath of them in the house of the Lord, and showed them the king's son. And this king's son they're talking about is Joash, who is Ahaziah's son. Verse 5. And he commanded them, saying, This is the thing that ye shall do. A third part of you that enter in on the Sabbath shall even be keepers of the watch of the king's house. And a third part shall be at the gate of Sir, and a third part at the gate behind the guard. So shall he keep the watch of the house, that it be not broken down. And 2 parts of all you that go forth on the Sabbath, even they shall keep the watch of the house of the Lord about the king. And he shall compass the king round about, every man with his weapon in his hand. And he that comes within the ranges, let him be slain. And be ye with the king as he goeth out, and as he cometh in. And the captains over the hundreds did according to all things that Jehoiada the priest commanded. And they took every man his men that were to come in on the Sabbath, with them that should go out on the Sabbath, and came to Jehoiada the priest, and to the captains over hundreds. The priests gave King David spears and shields that were in the temple of the Lord. And the guard stood, every man with his weapons in his hand, round about the king, from the right corner of the temple to the left corner of the temple, along by the altar and the temple. And he brought forth the king's son, and put the crown upon him, and gave him the testimony. And they made him king, and anointed him. And they clapped their hands and said, God save the king. And this king was Joash. Because remember, he is now the rightful heir to the throne, because he is Ahaziah's son. Verse 13. And when Athaliah, that is now the king's grandmother, when Athaliah heard the noise of the guard and the people, she came to the people into the temple of the Lord. And when she looked, behold, the king stood by a pillar, as the manner was, and the princes and the trumpeters by the king. And all the people of the land rejoiced and blew with trumpets. And Athaliah rent her clothes and cried, Treason! Treason! Ah! But Jehoiada the priest commanded the captains of the hundreds, the officers of the host, and said unto them, Have her forth without the ranges, and him that follows her killed with the sword. For the priest had said, Let her not be slain in the house of the Lord. And they laid hands on her. And she went by the way by which the horses came into the king's house, and there she was slain. So you all hear that. So for those of you who are short on this story, so this is Athaliah. Athaliah is Ahaziah's mother. And remember, Jehu had slain Ahaziah. So now his mother is slaying all of his children so that she can be the ruler. And after she, oh my God, she's slaying all of her grandsons. But one of the kids' aunt took away one of the sons, Joash. She took Joash and she hid him so that Athaliah would not see him to slay him. And now that he has grown, the people, they are now appointing him king behind her back. She don't know. She don't know what is going on. They gathered up all the captains and the priests and everybody, all the guards, to protect him. Because if she ever know that he is still alive, she is going to slay him. So they have gathered all these guards to protect Joash from his grandmother. And they anointed him and they crowned him king. When his grandmother, Athaliah, comes in and sees that it is her grandson, she thought all of them were dead. But when she comes in and she sees that this is one of her grandsons, and he is the rightful owner to the heir to the throne, she rip off her clothes and cry out that this is treason. This is treason. OMG. But the priest, Jehoiada was the priest at that time. Jehoiada said, "Uno take her out here. Remove her from here because I do not want her to be slain in the house of the Lord. So no take her out. Take her out and carry her outside. And once she's outside, you all do what you do with her. And they took her out of the house of the Lord and slew her. It- she's being impeached. Exactly, Netta. Netta. Netta says she's being impeached. Exactly. And she hollering that this is treason, what they have done to her. But she ain't consider what she has done to her grandchildren. Oh Lord, this Bible is something else. I tell you no. Okay. But she seemed God. She seemed just as wicked as Jezebel, if not worse. Strip off our clothes in the house of the Lord. What a thing. She strip off our she strip off our clothes in the house of the Lord. Oh Lord have mercy. Verse 16 says, and they laid hands on her, and she went by the way by which the horses came into the king's house, and there she was slain. And Jehoiada, now Jehoiada is the priest, made a covenant between the Lord and the king and the people, that they should be the Lord's people, between the king also and the people. And all the people of the land went into the house of Baal. They mean I think the house of Baal broke down and tear down and burned down. I don't think Jehu did that. I thought Jehu burned down and break down the house of Baal. So which house of Baal they are going into when we already read that Jehu did all of that and Jehu went to sleep with his fathers and was buried over there in Samaria. So why are we here? Did they build another house of Baal? We never hear about this woman, God. Me never hear about this woman. I never hear about her at all. But right here, Sokad, is another piece of legislation, biblical legislation that we have to go over. Verse 18 says, and all the people of the land went into the house of Baal. I thought it was broken down already. And break it down. His altars and his images break they in pieces thoroughly, and slew Nathan, the priest of Baal, before the altars. Oh, I thought all of Baal was already banished out of the land, but I guess not. And slew Matan, the priest of Baal, before the altars, and the priest appointed officers over the house of the Lord. And he took the rulers over hundreds, and the captains, and the guard, and all the people of the land. And they brought down the king from the house of the Lord, and came by the way of the gate of the guard to the king's house. And he sat on the throne of the kings. And all the people of the land rejoiced, and the city was quiet. And they slew Athaliah with the sword beside the king's house. 7 years old was Jehoash when he began to reign. So here is another child ruler. The first child ruler we read about was Samuel. You all remember? Samuel started ruling when he was a child as well. And here we have Joash, Jehoash, Jehoash ruling as 7 years old. That's the ending of chapter 11 of the book of Second Kings. A little recap of that book there, of that chapter there. The chapter starts with Athaliah. Athaliah is the mother of Ahaziah. Ahaziah is one of the kings that was slain by Jehu. Now, Athaliah, she is envious of the throne. I guess she thinks that she can be ruler as well. So what does she do? She starts out a slaughter of all her grandsons because her grandsons are the ones who are supposed to who are in succession to the throne of her son. And so she starts to slay them. But one of their aunts hid, hid. I believe Joash was the youngest child. And so Athaliah wasn't able to kill Joash because he was hidden. She didn't realize that he was hidden. And she slew all her other grandsons. And she appointed herself to be the queen of the throne, to be the ruler. And when Joash was 7 years old, the men gathered together. They gathered the captains and the guards and the priests at the time. Joadiah was the one who was organizing all of this for Joash to take his rightful place as the heir to his father Ahaziah's throne. And so Joadiah gathered all the men together to guard Joash. Because if Athaliah ever knows that Joash is alive, he will be dead. AG is in the place. Bless up your nice clean self, AG. AG, which part of the world are you there today? How you doing, AG? Yes. So, so when Athaliah comes into the house of the Lord and she sees that it is her grandson who they have just appointed to be king, she was so mad she started ripping off her clothes. And Jehoiada the priest ordered the men to take her out of the house of the Lord and slay her. And so she was slain. And at 7 years old, Joash was made to reign over Israel. We are moving on to chapter 12. In the seventh year of Jehu, Jehoash began to reign. Hold on. We have to go back here, so. Because remember, Jehu reigned over Israel for 28 years. So in the 7th year of Jehu, Joash began to reign. And 40 years reigned he in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Zabiah of Beersheba. Okay, because remember, Ahaziah had several wives, So this son of his, Jehoash, was for a woman named Zibiah. In the 7th year of Jehu, Joash began to reign, and 40 years reigned he in Jerusalem, and his mother's name was Zibiah of Beersheba. And Jehoash did that which was right in the sight of the Lord all his days. He reigned for 40 years. And Jehoash did that which was right in the sight of the Lord all his days, wherein Jehoiada the priest instructed him. So Jehoiada the priest was the one who was mentoring Jehoash, because of course at 7 years old, you sure do need a mentor. You sure do need somebody to tell you what to do. But the high places were not taken away. The people still sacrificed and burnt incense in the high places. And Jehoash said to the priests, all the money of the dedicated things that is brought into the house of the Lord, even the money of every one that passeth the account, the money that every man is set at, and all the money that comes into any man's heart to bring into the house, of the Lord. Let the priest take it to them, every man of his acquaintance, and let them repair the breaches of the house, wheresoever any breach shall be found. Mm, mm. Okay, so here Jehoash has said all the money that the people have donated into the church, all the money, he's selling this to the priests, Jehoiada and the others. He said all the money that the people bring into the house, let them use it to fix, let the priests use it to fix the house of the Lord, to maintain the house, to repair a broken window, to repair a broken door, to repair a broken chair. Okay? Let them use it to fix the stuff that's broken in the house of the Lord. Verse 6. But it was so that in the 23rd year of King Jehoash, the priest had not repaired the breaches of the house. So 23 years, he not repair nothing. So what did he do with the money? Then King Jehoash called for Jehoiada the priest and the other priests. For 23 years, Jehoiada no repair nothing. For 23 years, Jehoiada no repair nothing. So what Jehoiada did with the money? God says, stop there. Did you see that? Whatever a monk was in their heart, you are not what the pastor tells them to bring. Eh? Say that again. What a man finds in his heart. Okay, okay, okay. Okay, yes, I get what you say. Not how much the pastor tell them to bring, but whatever they find in their heart to bring. Okay, let us read that again, guys. Verse 4 of chapter 12. And Jehovah said to the priests, all the money of the dedicated things that is brought into the house of the Lord, even the money of everyone that passeth the account, the money that every man is set at, and all the money that cometh into any man's heart to bring into the house of the Lord. Okay, so what you bring out of the goodness of your heart, and what you are set to bring, and all the money that cometh into any man's heart to bring. So if it comes in your heart to bring, whatever was in their heart to give. Did the previous line says the money that every man is set at? You see that card? The money that every man is set at. Does that mean that some people have predetermined how much some people will bring? He said that every man is set at, and all the money that comes into any man's heart to bring into the house of the Lord. Let the priest take it from them, every man of his acquaintance, and let them repair the breaches of the house, wheresoever any breach shall be found. But it was so that in the 23rd year of King Jehoash, the priests had not repaired the breaches of the house. Then King Jehoash called for Jehoiada the priest and the other priests, and said unto them, why have you not repaired the breaches of the house? Now by this time Jehoash is 30, because if he started ruling at 7 and now it is the 23rd year of his reign, that means by now he is 30, he's more learned, he's now thinking as a big man. So now he says, why have you not repaired the house, the breaches, the brokenness? the broken pieces of door and window and floorboard and chairs in the house. Now therefore receive no more money of your acquaintance, but deliver it for the breaches of the house. And the priest consented to receive no more money from the people, neither to repair the breaches of the house. So here Joash is saying to Jehoiada, you disappoint me, man. You were supposed to take the money and fix up the house of the Lord. For 23 years, you take the money and you don't fix nothing. So you're not going to take any more money. And it is not in your hand anymore to fix anything in the house. But Jehoiada the priest took a chest and bored a hole in the lid of it and set it beside the altar on the right side as one cometh into the house of the Lord. And the priest that kept the door put therein all the money that was brought in the house of the Lord. So what I'm doing with all of the money I'm collecting at 23 years. And it was so, when they saw that there was much money in the chest, that the king's scribe and the high priest came up, and they put up in bags and told the money or took the money. Right here, I'm looking at the Bible saying TOLD. I don't think it was TOLD. Verse 10 again. And it was so, when they saw that there was much money in the chest, that the king's scribe and the high priest came up, and they put up in bags, and I think took the money that was found in the house of the Lord. I don't think that's told, that's took. TOOK. And took the money that was found in the house of the Lord. And they gave the money. And they gave the money, being told that, and they gave the money. I don't want to put in words and change the meaning of what is being said here, but I don't see how untold the money that was found in the house of the Lord. I don't see how that even make any sense. And they gave the money, being told, into the hands of them that did the work, that had the oversight of the house of the Lord. And they laid it out to the carpenters and builders, and wrought upon the house of the Lord. Does it mean that they told Jehoash how much money there was? Let's read verse 10 again. And it was so. Verse 9 again. But Jehoiada the priest took a chest and bored a hole in the lid of it and set it beside the altar. So now see where piggy bank come from? I tell you all that everything has a biblical foundation, biblical origin. You see where piggy bank come from? Yeah. He took a chest, he bore a hole in the top of the chest. And that was where the people put the money. And set it beside the altar on the right side as one comes into the house of the Lord. And the priest that kept the door put therein all the money that was brought into the house of the Lord. So all the money is now being put in this chest. And it was so, when they saw that there was much money in the chest, that the king's scribe and the high priest came up, and they put up in bags and told, I believe they told the king how much money. Yes. So they put all the money in the bags, and then they told the king how much money was found in the house of the Lord. And they gave the money that they told the king. Yes, this is what I believe it means. And they gave the money into the hands of them who did the work, them that had oversight in the house of the Lord. They had laid it out to the carpenters and the builders that wrought upon the house of the Lord. So the carpenters and the builders who worked on the house of the Lord, they were the ones who got paid out of this money. So what happened to all the money that was given before in the 23 years? What did Jehoiada did with all that money? Verse 12 says, and to the masons and hewers of stone, and to buy timber and used stones to repair the breaches of the house of the Lord, and for all that was laid out of the house to repair it. Howbeit, there were not made for the house of the Lord bowls of silver, snuffers, basins, trumpets, any vessels of gold or vessels of silver, of the money that was brought into the house of the Lord. But they gave that to the workmen, and repaired therewith the house of the Lord. Moreover, they reckoned not with the men, into whose hand they delivered the money to be bestowed on workmen, for they dealt faithfully. The trespass money and the sin money was not brought into the house of the Lord. It was the priests. Okay. So the sin money and trespass money, they gave that to the priest. That was not brought into the house of the Lord. Then Hazael, king of Syria, went up. Hold on. Hazael name dead. I thought Hazael was dead. Hold on, the people, because why did I think Hazael? And the king said unto Hazael, take a present in thy hand and go, meet the man of God, and inquire of the Lord by him, saying, shall I recover from this disease? So Hazael went to meet him. Now remember Hazael, we read about Hazael yesterday. And Hazael said, but what is thy servant? A dog? Remember when Elisha said, Hazael was going to do a wicked thing down there in Damascus? Do y'all remember? Remember when the king was sick? I'm going to remember it all. I'm going to remind you all of it because we have to track this Hazael guy. We have to track this Hazael guy. Ben-Hadad. Remember when Ben-Hadad, the king of Syria, was sick and he sent Hazael? Hazael was his servant. He sent Hazael to go meet with Elisha and find out from Elisha if he was going to get well. And Elisha downcast his face when he saw Hazael, and he said, you are a wicked person. You're going to do evil. And Hazael was upset and he said to Elisha, what do you think I am? I think I am a dog. And Hazael sent him on his way and said to tell Ben-Hadad that Ben-Hadad was going to live. And when Hazael went to tell Ben-Hadad that Ben-Hadad was going to live, he put the heavy cloth with the water over Ben-Hadad's face and slew him. You remember? And then he appointed himself king to rule over Syria. So here we are hearing about this Hazael again. Let's see. That was in 2 Kings chapter 8. We read about this Hazael. So let's see what it says here in chapter 12 about this Hazael guy. Verse 17 of chapter 12. Then Hazael, king of Syria, went up and fought against Gath and took it. And Hazael set his face to go up to Jerusalem. And Jehoash, king of Judah, took all the hallowed things that Jehoshaphat and Jehoram and Ahaziah his fathers, kings of Judah, had dedicated, and his own hallowed things, and all the gold that was found in the treasures of the house of the Lord and in the king's house, and sent it to Hazael, king of Syria. And he went away from Jerusalem. Oh my God. So Jehoash apparently didn't want to fight with Hazael. So when Hazael come up to take to fight with Jerusalem, the sin offering and the trespass offering are the amount that was set, but any other donation was according to what was in the heart to give. Okay, okay, God, thank you for that. Okay, so when Hazael now was coming up against Jerusalem, Jehoash didn't want to fight. So he gave all the gold and all the silver and everything that was treasured from coming down from his father Isaiah to his father's father, and all of the inheritance that was valuable. He sent it to Hazael, and Hazael went back to Syria and left Jerusalem alone. And the rest of the acts of Joash and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles? So I guess in the Chronicles we are going to read some more about Joash, about Hazael, about Azariah, about Jehu. We're going to read a lot when we get to the book of Chronicles. And his servants arose and made a conspiracy and slew Joash in the house of Milo, which goeth down to Silo. Really? What are the people? Verse 20. And his servants arose and made a conspiracy and slew Joash in the house of Milo, Milo or Milo, which goeth down to Silla. For Jozachar, the son of Shimeath, and Jehozabad, the son of Shomer, his servants, smote him, and he died. And they buried him with his fathers in the city of David. And Amaziah, his son, reigned in his stead. Oh, Amaziah, his son, reigned in his stead. Hmm, that's interesting. That is very interesting. So they were mad because Joash gave all the silver and the gold to Azael. Is that why they were mad? Well, that's the last act. They said verse 19, and the rest of the acts of Joash and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles? And his servants arose and made a conspiracy and slew Joash in the house of Milo, which goeth down to Silla. For Jozachar, the son of Shimeath, and Jehozabad, the son of Shomer, his servants, smote him, and he died. So Jozachar and Jehozabad were the ones responsible for Joash's death. And they buried him with his fathers in the city of David, and Amaziah his son reigned in his stead. Verse 13. I mean, chapter 13. How long is the book of Chronicles? Everything that's the same thing I said. They are first and second Chronicles. First and second Chronicles. I don't know how long Chronicles is. I know that the second Chronicles has like 36 chapters. So we're going to read this until about September. We're going to read this until about September. Because the second Chronicles have 36 chapters. And the first Chronicles have the First Chronicles of 29. And they are long chapters. So we're going to have quite a bit of reading to do because it is in the Chronicles that we're going to find all the answers that we seek. All right, let us go to chapter 13. All right, we are doing pretty well so far. Chapter 13. I think this is the last chapter for the morning. In the three, in the 23rd, in the 23 years that Joash, the son of Ahaziah, king of Judah, Jehoahaz, the son of Jehu, began to reign over Israel. Okay, let's read that again. We are on to chapter 13, gentle people, so come along with us. In the 23rd year, so in the Bible it says in the 320th year. So that is in the 23rd year of Joash, the son of Ahaziah, king of Judah. Jehoaz, the son of Jehu, began to reign over Israel in Samaria and reigned for 17 years. But remember, it is in this same 23 years that Joash is killed. Or did he live longer than that? I don't know, because it said that he reigned up in the 23 years. He started ruling when he was 7. 7 and 23 make 30, right? All right, let us continue because we need. In the 320th year of Joash, the son of Ahaziah, king of Judah, Jehoaz, the son of Jehu, began to reign over Israel in Samaria and reigned for 17 years. And he did that which was evil. His father was evil. So who is surprised? And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, and followed the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, which made Israel to sin. He departed not therefrom. He departed not therefrom. He didn't depart from the sin of Jeroboam. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel, and he delivered them into the hand of Hazael, king of Syria, and into the hand of Benadad, the son of Hazael, all their days. And Jehoaz besought the Lord, and the Lord hearkened unto him, for he saw the oppression of Israel, because the king of Syria oppressed them. We know that Hazael was really a wicked person. We saw where Hazael killed Benadad and took over the throne. So we see that Hazael was really a wicked man. And now, in punishing Israel because of the sins of Jehoaz, in punishing Israel, they hand them over to Hazael, the king of Syria. And that is some kind of punishment because of how wicked Hazael was. Verse 4, and Jehoahaz besought the Lord, and the Lord hearkened unto him, for he saw the oppression of Israel, because the king of Syria oppressed them. And the Lord gave Israel a savior, so that they went out from under the hand of the Syrians, and the children of Israel dwelt in their tents, as they did before. Andrea, what's up? What? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Andrea. Happy birthday to you. May the good Lord bless you. May the good Lord bless you. May the good Lord bless you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Andrea. Guys, give Andrea the kind of traveler's birthday that she deserves. Oh, you're a June girl. Today is what? June 7th, June 8th, June. Today is June 8th. Okay. I hope you have a great day, Andrea, and I hope you feel well, my dear sister. Hope you have a great, great, great day. We are moving on with Second Kings chapter 13. And verse 5 said, And the Lord gave Israel a savior, so that they went out from under the hand of the Syrians. And the children of Israel dwelt in their tents as before time. Nevertheless, they departed not from the sins of the house of Jeroboam. Oh my God. Even though he gave them a savior and allowed them to go back to living in their tents like they used to, they did not depart from the sins of the house of Jeroboam, who made Israel to sin, but they walked therein, and there remained the groove also in Samaria. Oh my Lord. They remained in the groves of Samaria, and they continued to sin. Neither did he leave of the people to Jehoshaphat but 50 horsemen, and 10 chariots, and 10,000 footmen, for the king of Syria had destroyed them. So you see, exactly, Netta. They took that nonsense with them. They could not put down. Look at Netta's dogs. Look at Netta's dogs. And what kind of dogs those, Netta? They look like some little miniature bulldogs. A miniature bulldogs those. So these people, even though they were being delivered out of their hands, they were being delivered out of the hands of Azael, the wicked Syrian king. They still were doing wickedness. Verse 7 said, Neither did he leave of the people to, to Jehoahaz, he left 50 horsemen, 10 chariots, 10,000 footmen. That's all that was left for them, you know. For the king of Syria destroyed them and had made them like the dust by threshings. Now, the rest of the acts of Jehoahaz and all that he did and his might, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles, the kings of Israel? Oh my God, the Chronicles has just about everything. Oh, what you saw? What kind of word in there? French, hard Frenchy, and Boston Terrier. Oh yeah. Let us continue. Let us continue. Lumasaba, Andrew's thing is reading here. I don't know which book. I think he is doing Exodus. And the money, what is money I do to our here, so? I don't know what money I do to our here right there, so. Now, verse 8. Now the rest of the acts of Jehoahaz and all that he did and his might, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles? And Jehoahaz slept with his fathers. So now Jehoahaz has died. Now Jehoahaz was the son of Jehu. Don't forget. Jehoahaz was the son of Jehu. And Jehu was the one who was responsible for the death of Ahaziah. He was responsible for the death of Jezebel. Yeah, he was responsible for breaking down the house of Baal and slaughtering all those people who were worshiping Baal. Yeah, he was responsible for a lot of killings. Now Jehoahaz, his son, has now died. In verse 9, and Jehoahaz slept with his fathers, and they buried him in Samaria, and Joash, his son, reigned in his stead. So let me see if, hold on a minute there now, hold on a minute there now. So now them trying to confuse us. Don't let us not be confused. So the son of Ahaziah, who is aunt hid so that he could survive and be able to be appointed king. This son's name was Jehoash, Jehoash, Jehoash. All right, over here in chapter 13, in chapter 13, the son of the son of Jehoahaz, Jehoahaz, who is Jehu's son, the son of Jehoahaz is Joash, Joash. All right, make note of that. Joash is Jehoahaz's son, and he is also Jehu's grandson. But Jehoash, Jehoash is the son of Ahaziah. He started ruling Israel when he was 7. All right. We just wanted to make sure we got that clear. So there is Jehoash with the H, Jehoash, Jehoash with the H. That is Ahaziah's son. And then there is Joash, Joash, who is Jehu's grandson, Jehoahaz's son. All right. Verse 10. In the 37th year of Joash, king of Judah, began Jehoash, the son, in the 37th year of Joash, king of Judah, began Jehoash, the son of Jehoaz, to reign over Israel in Samaria. This was in the 37th year of Joash. Now, Joash is Jehu's grandson. So, in the 37th year of Joash, king of Judah, began Jehoash, the son of Jehoaz, to reign over Israel in Samaria, and reigned 16 years. Yeah, what's up? What are you doing, my love? All right, let us do this. 7 years. How are you doing, yard food? So good to see you, my sister. Okay, began Jehoash. Okay, began Jehoash, the son of Jehoahaz, to reign over Israel in Samaria. Of Joash, king of Judah. So, the Bible is kind of not keeping it straight here. That's why I have paused, because they said in the 37th year of Joash, king of Judah, Jehoash, Jehoash was Jehoahaz's grandson. He began to reign. Remember, Jehoash was Ahaziah's son. So how are they now saying? You see, they are going backwards. You know, follow me there. I am a little bit lost too, Netta. That's why I'm pausing. Something not right here, so let me check this out again. Let me check this out again. So Joash was Aziah's son. All right. Joash started reigning when he was Jehoash. He started reigning when he was 7. All right. He Let me see this now. In verse in verse let's start from the beginning again. In the 23rd year of Joash, the son of Ahaziah, king of Judah. So something right here, so because look here, look at this. Something is not right here, so let us do this again. In chapter 11, it says, and when Athaliah, the mother of Ahaziah, saw that her son was dead, she rose up and destroyed all the seed. But Jehosheba, the daughter of King Joram, sister to Ahaziah, took Joash, Joash. All right, she took Joash and she hid him. All right, over here, so in verse, let me find it here. Let me find it. Over here in verse, let's read verse 7 of chapter 11. And two parts of all you that go forth shall keep the watch of the house of the Lord about the king, and he shall compass the king round about, every man with his weapons in his hand, and he that comes within the ranges, let him be slain, and he be with the king as he goeth out and as he comes in. And the captains over the hundreds did according to all the things that the Jehoiada the priest commanded. And they took every man his men that were to come in on the Sabbath with them that should go out on the Sabbath and come to Jehoiada the priest. And to the captains over hundreds did the priests give King David spears and shields that were in the temple of the Lord. And the guard stood, every man with his weapons in his hand, round about the king, from the right corner of the temple to the left corner of the temple, along by the altar and the temple. And he brought forth the king's son and put the crown upon him and gave him the testimony. And everyone clapped and said, God saved the king. So this king was Joash. He started reigning at 7 years old. Now, let's start reading chapter 12. And in the 7th year of Jehu, Jehoash began to reign. In the 7th year of Jehu, Jehoash began to reign, and 40 years he reigned in Israel. But here so it says Joash, but it was so that in the 33 years, the King Joash, year of King Joash, the priest had not repaired the breaches in the house. This is interesting. Is it the same person they are changing his name? It can't be. Because here they say in verse 13, chapter 13, I mean, it says, in the 23rd year of Joash, the son of Ahaziah, in the 23rd year of Joash, the son of Ahaziah, king of Judah, Jehoaz, the son of Jehu, began to reign over Israel in Samaria and reigned for 17 years. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, and followed the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, which made Israel to sin. He departed not therefrom. Joseph said, good morning, Jojo. How are you doing, my love? Joseph, it's Andrea's birthday. Both were seven. Joash was wicked and Joash was not. I don't think it's the same person. No, it can't be the same person. Because if one is Ahaziah's son and one is Jehu's grandson, it cannot be the same person. But let us start reading chapter 13 again. In the 23rd year of Joash, the son of Ahaziah, king of Judah, Jehoahaz, the son of Jehu, began to reign over Israel in Samaria and reigned for 17 years. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, and followed the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, which made Israel to sin. He departed not therefrom. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel, and he delivered them into the hand of Hazael, king of Syria, and into the hand of Benadad, the son of Hazael, all their days. So hold on a minute there now. Did Hazael hold on a minute? Because I don't forget so easily, no. And but I like to be sure. Didn't Hazael, hold on there. Didn't Hazael murder Benadad? Okay. So here, Hazael murdered Benadad and took over the throne. Why in verse 13 it is saying here, why is it saying here that, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel, and he delivered them into the hand of Hazael, king of Syria, and into the hand of Benadad, the son of Hazael. So did Hazael name one of his sons Benadad? Talk to me, people. Because remember, Hazael slew Benadad and took over the throne. So did Hazael name one of his sons Benadad? That is my question. Because here in verse 3 of chapter 13, he said, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel, and he delivered them into the hand of Hazael, king of Syria, and into the hand of Benadad, the son of Hazael, all their days. Something, all right? Yes, so. But we are going to continue reading. And Jehoahaz besought the Lord, and the Lord hearkened unto him, for he saw the oppression of Israel, because the king of Syria oppressed them. And the Lord gave Israel a savior, so that they went out from under the hand of the Syrians. And the children of Israel dwelt in their tents, as before time. As they did before all of this happened, they dwelt in their tents. Nevertheless, they departed not from the sins of the house of Jeroboam, who made Israel to sin, but walked therein, and there remained the grove, in also in Samaria. Neither did he leave of the people to Jehoahaz, but 50 horsemen, and 10 chariots, and 10,000 footmen, for the king of Syria had destroyed them, and had made them like dust by trestling. Now, the rest of the acts of Jehoahaz, that is the son of Jehu, and now the rest of the acts of Jehoahaz and all that he did, might they not be found in the Chronicles? And Jehoahaz slept with his fathers, so now Jehoahaz is dead, and they buried him in Samaria. And Joash, that's Joash, his son, reigned in his stead. In the 37th year of Joash, king of Judah, began Jehoash, the son of Jehoahaz, to reign over Israel in Samaria, and reigned 16 years. Okay, so Jehoash, oh Lord, Jehoash is the grandson of Jehu. His father is Jehoahaz, who is Jehu's son. Mighty God. Verse 11. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. He departed not from the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin, but he walked therein. Do you see along the sins of Jeroboam? Remember, the Bible had told him that it was going to carry on for at least 4 generations. Yes, Jeroboam's sin is carried on and on and on. And remember, it is such a contrast to David, because remember, the Lord said, David's generations are going to be blessed. So even when Solomon sinned, they didn't get any revenge, because the Lord had promised David that his entire generation was going to be blessed. So when Solomon sinned, he didn't, he didn't, he wasn't punished. When Solomon's son sinned, he wasn't punished. When Solomon's grandson sinned, he wasn't punished, because of the promise that the Lord had made to David. Let us continue. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. He departed not from all the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who made Israel to sin, but he walked therein. And the rest of the acts of Joash, and the rest of the acts of Joash, and all that he did, and his might wherewith he fought against Amaziah, king of Judah, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles? And Joash slept with his fathers, and Jeroboam sat upon his throne. And Joash was buried in Samaria with the kings of Israel. Now, Elijah, I don't know how they say Jeroboam sat upon his throne, because by this time Jeroboam was dead. So I'm not sure. But I guess the Chronicles would explain it all to us. Now, Elisha was fallen sick of his sickness, whereof he died. And Joash, the king of Israel, came down unto him and wept over his face, and said, O my father, the chariot of Israel, and the horsemen thereof. And Elisha said unto him, Take bow and arrows. And he took unto him bows and arrows. And he said to the king of Israel, Put thy hand upon the bow. And he put his hand upon it. And Elisha put his hands upon the king's hands. And he said, open the window eastward. And he opened it. Then Elijah said, shoot. And he shot. And he said, the arrow of the Lord's deliverance, and the arrow of deliverance from Syria. For thou shalt smite the Syrians in effect, till thou have consumed them all. And he said, take the arrows. And he took them. And he said unto the king of Israel, smite upon the ground. And he smote 3 times and stayed. And the man of God was wroth with him and said, thou shouldest have smitten 5 or 6 times. Then hast thou smitten Syria till thou hast consumed it. Whereas now thou shalt smite Syria only 3 times. Okay. So here, Elisha is very sick. Elisha is, he was already an old man, because remember when he was coming back from Jordan after seeing Elijah being taken up in heaven, he was an old man when the children were mocking him. He was already an old man. So now, here he is even older, and he is now sick. He is close to death. He sends to call the king of Israel. He sends to call the king of Israel to come to him. At this time, it is Joash, Joash. And hold on there. At this time, it is Joash, Joash. And this Joash is Ahaziah's son. Okay? So he sends to call Joash. And he is telling Joash to get your bow and your arrows. Shoot one out the window eastward. Shoot one into the ground. Because you are going to be victorious over the Syrians. But Joash, he shot the arrow in the ground 3 times. And Elisha was mad at him. He said, you should have shot it 5 or 6 times. If you had shot it 5 or 6 times, you would be able to wipe out all the Syrians. But you only shot it 3 times. So you have sort of shortchanged yourself. You are not going to be able to wipe them all out, but you will have a measure of victory. Verse 19. And the man of God they're talking about is Elisha. And Elisha was wroth with him, meaning he was angry with him, and said, thou shouldest have smitten 5 or 6 times, then hast thou smitten Syria till thou hast consumed it. Whereas now thou shalt smite Syria only 3 times. And Elisha died, and they buried him, and the hands of the Moabites invaded the land at the coming in of the year. Why they don't say where they bury Elisha? Everybody else, they say they bury them with their fathers in the city of David, or they bury them with their fathers in Samaria or wherever. And Elijah died, and they buried him, and the hands of the Moabites invaded the land at the coming in of the year. And it came to pass, as they were burying a man, now it doesn't say it's Elisha, but as they were burying a man, that, behold, they spied a band of men, and they cast the man into the sepulchre of Elisha. Okay. And when the man was let down and touched the bones of Elisha, he revived and stood up on his feet. Almighty God. What do you hear that, guys? So the people, after they bury Elisha, and it must be a long time because only bones were left. After they had buried Elisha, the people were burying another man, and they saw a band of men coming, and they dashed the man inside of Elisha's sepulchre. And as the man's dead body touched Elisha's dead dry bones, the man came back to life and stood up on his feet. But Hazael, king of Syria, oppressed Israel all the days of Jehoahaz. Jehoahaz was Jehu's son, right? Jehoahaz was Jehu's son. All right, I'm keeping track, keeping track of the relations. Okay, but Hazael, king of Syria, oppressed Israel all the days of Jehoahaz. And the Lord was gracious unto them, and had compassion on them, and had respect unto them, because of the covenant he had made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and would not destroy them, neither cast he them from his presence as yet. So Hazael, king of Syria, died, and Benadad, his son, reigned in his stead. So I was right. Hazael did give his son name Benadad. So he slew King Benadad. He gave his son name Benadad. And after he died, his son Benadad ruled Syria. So Hazael, king of Syria, died, and Benadad, his son, reigned in his stead. And Jehoash, the son of Jehoaz, took again out of the hand of Benadad, the son of Aziel, the cities. So you see, the war continues. The war over land continues. The war over land, over all land, continued. Aye. Mr. Boy, Netta, you love Shopper Public, sir. Me no know you love Shopper Public, sir. I mean, I always think, say, when me did that, I mean, used to love Shopper Publix, especially when them have buy one, get one free, and you have coupons. Because you buy one, you get one free, but you can still use the two coupons. I used to like that with Publix. Even though sometimes them price be pricing. Not lying to you, the price be pricing, I tell you. But anyway, let us continue. Let us understand right here. So Azael, was the one who slew Benadad and took over the reigning in Syria. So now he has named one of his son Benadad as well. And now that he is dead, his son Benadad is ruling over Israel. Verse 24 of chapter 13 says, so Aziel, king of Syria, died, and Benadad, his son, reigned in his stead. And Jehoash, that is the son of Jehoahaz. Now, this is the descendant of Jehu. All right. Took again out of the hand of Benadad. Okay. So they took these cities out of the hand of Benadad, Aziel's son. So as remember, say Aziel was just fighting and just taking stuff, just fighting and taking. Remember, Elisha had told him that he was a wicked man. He was a very wicked man. And he got upset with Elijah, talk about, oh, why are you calling me wicked? What you call me wicked for? Eh? Do I look like a dog to you? Uh-huh. And as soon as he said those words, him still go back in Benadad's presence and go suffocate Benadad to death. You understand? And now, now that he is dead, and his son Benadad has taken over Syria and all those cities that he had captured, now the descendants of Jehu are now going to try to take it back. So Jehoash is the descendant of Jehu, and he is now going to fight Benadad, Azael's son, to take back these cities in Syria. And Jehoash, the son of Jehoahaz, took again out of the hand of Benadad, the son of Aziel, the cities which he had taken out of the hand of Jehoahaz's father by war. 3 times did Joash beat him and recovered the cities of Israel. Oh, Lord. But them people are not easy, Them people are not easy. And Jehoash, the son of Jehoahaz, took again out of the hand of Benadad, the son of Aziel, the cities which he had taken out of the hand of Jehoahaz, his father, by war. 3 times did Joash beat him and recovered the cities of Israel. Welcome, guys. Welcome. Oh, Jamaica Farmers Hut is in the place. Jamaica Farmers Hut, what's up? How you doing? How you doing? How are you doing, my love? So good to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are here reading the good book. We have just finished reading chapter 13 of the book of Second Kings, and this chapter 13 here is the end of today's reading. Now, I am going to be searching. When we get off the live, I'm going to read this again by myself so that I can understand what these names. I can understand who is who a little better. Even though the Bible says, don't worry about it. It is all going to be written in the Chronicles. So so I'm going to do that anyway because I can't wait for the book of Kings to be finished so that I can read the book of Chronicles. The book of Kings, we're going to finish it. Let me see how many more chapters we have. The chapters are long. So I think we're going to finish it about Saturday. No, not Saturday at all. No, sir, not Saturday. Maybe by Sunday. Maybe by Sunday we shall finish reading the book. And then in the Chronicles, it's going to give us the genealogy and the lineage of all these people so that we will be better. Maybe I should wait then. So that we will be better able to understand who was who and who had this similar names. Because just now we discovered that Benadad, there wasn't just one Benadad. There was the Benadad that Azael murdered, and then there was the Benadad who was Azael's son. So that's why I always say that I like when the Bible say, when it says somebody's name, it says who. It makes a relation of them with somebody else so that we don't get confused. It says this person was their father, this person was their son, so that we can keep track. Because we have found that several of the people have the same name or names that are spelled similarly with just, close enough, with just one letter that is changed. So, say what? Okay, Coca-Cola, Fanta, Sprite. Okay. And it's a cool day too, guys. So when I get off of here this morning at around when I get off of here in the next few minutes, I'm going to get myself together and go finish fixing up the front yard. Wanna come with me? Tell me if you don't want to come with me. Me no business if you don't want to come. Me, I carry on with me. We're going out there in a little bit while the morning is cool. All these readings surrounding the land of Israel, if I am wrong. No, you're not wrong. It is all of Syria, Samaria, Bethlehem, Jerusalem, all of that area. Remember when Solomon was king, Solomon ruled over the entire region. But then there were different kings arising, like in different parts. People were appointing kings. And so with the area being so vast, you understand? Because if there was supposed to be one king in America, and this one king, say one governor, and this one governor is responsible for the entire country. Can you see how if he's over here in North Carolina or the people over there in California might feel rejected? Clover, what's up? How are you doing? Yeah, so the people over there in California might feel rejected because he's all the way over here in North Carolina and he's responsible for too vast an area. Him can't reach the other people. The people never see him, and it's too far for them to come over here to him. So them don't know nothing what's going on. So them say, listen, we want one king over here so for ourselves, so we can have our own laws and know what's going on. We can't bother go all the way over to North Carolina to go talk to the king. So there were different pockets of rulers arising round about. And by the time Solomon was dead and say his grandson was ruling, the people had, yeah, I mean, the kingdom had dwindled so much because a lot of people had left God to go follow false God. They had left to go to other places. They had sort of abandoned Jerusalem, a lot of the people. And so, a much worrying wife, them exactly, exactly. If Solomon have to look over him 1,700 wives and 300 concubines, and all the children that they were having for him, that is more than a country by itself. And then he was expected to rule over all of Syria, Samaria, Damascus, everywhere. So it was just too much. So the people started to appoint different kings over different regions. And so the kingdom, as it was being divided as all these pockets of rulers came about. Okay, so now with all of that, they were fighting each other and taking land, fighting each other, claiming territory, claiming territory. So if they claim one part in North Carolina, they want to claim other parts. They want mountains and rivers and lands for their animals. And land is power. So if you are going to be a powerful king, you will have to be ruling over several districts. So they would fight people and gather land, fight people and gather land. And then because in Jerusalem, remember, Jerusalem still believed that this is all theirs. The entire place belongs to Israel. So every opportunity they get, they are fighting to recover as much land as they can. Why do you think there is still a fight over there with the Palestine and Israel? All of this is not new. This is all coming from the Bible. The land grab and the fighting and everybody believing this land is theirs and that land is not. And this, yes, it is the same way it was in the Bible. And they are going to continue to fight because all of that land, Israel still believes that all of that land, which in fact was a part of Israel, but because of the divisions that have come about over the years, Israel no longer have rule over Palestine. Palestine have its own government. So they are always going to be fighting. Watch us so. Well, Joseph, what you say? Not going nowhere with you. You work too much. You don't know when to stop and sit down for a minute. Me tired already, and you know. Oh God, Joseph, you can't do me so. Joseph, you can't do me so. You can't do me so. You have to go with me, man. You have to go with me. Me I go out the door, go continue trim down the bush them. Cause me I try to get rid of the tree them, but me have to trim them down bit by bit, bit by bit. Me I go trim them all down, and then me I go trim them down until me get right down to the end. Me don't know if me fi go get one chainsaw. Me can go a Lowe's, Lowe's lend chainsaws. You can borrow any tool of Lowe's. Did you know that? You can borrow any tool at Lowe's. Them rent it to you by the hour. I could have go borrow one saw like to cut them down. Me I cut down the tree them, me cannot be bothered. I cannot be bothered. Yeah, the one them what the next them when me no get to move them still there. Okay. So now so so now so now that Aziel, now that Aziel has died, his son Benadad now is ruling over Syria, and in his reign, Joash, Jehoash, who is the son of Jehoahaz, who is the son of Jehu. So Jehoahaz is Jehu's grandson. He now, he now is taking away, is fighting Benadad for the lands that Azael had stolen from Jerusalem. The lands that he had claimed those lands for Syria. And so he is about to take them back from Syria and call these lands again Israel, Jerusalem, Israel. He's going to call these lands again. Because remember, earlier in the Bible, it talked about the king of Israel down in Samaria. It talks about the king of Israel in different parts of that geographical area. Why? Because lots of these kings who were arising, who were being either self-appointed or appointed by the people in their geographical region. A lot of them were loyal to Israel. They were loyal to Israel. So when it says king of Israel, king of Israel in Samaria, that was a king who was loyal to Israel, but his rule, his geographical location rule, was in Samaria. Clover is in the place. Me need a manpower. Me don't need a manpower because me have a manpower. I don't need no manpower. I have manpower. Right, Jenna? How are you doing, Jenna? What's up? There is Jenna. Jenna is in the house. Jenna is in the house. Welcome, Jenna. Welcome, 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 welcome. How are you doing, my love? So good to see you. So good to see you. Thank you so much for coming, my dear. Okay. All right, there we go. So, so here they are still fighting over the lands. When we come back tomorrow, we are going to continue the reading of Second Kings. We are going to be reading chapters 14. Let me see how long these chapters are. Chapter 14, chapter 15, chapter 16, 14, 15, 16, 16, and maybe 17 we'll be able to read. Yes. Chapters 14, 15, 16, and 17 we will read tomorrow. Who created those names in the Bible? Andrea, not me, I said to who created those names? But you notice that in the Middle East they still use these names. You understand? If you talk to those people, these names, Josakar and all these names, Jehoshaphat, because a lot of them they choose names out of the Bible. And if they think that their beliefs are in alignment with whatever is in the Bible, with the person's behavior in the Bible, then they will name their children that name. Netta said, sounds like today's churches, oh, they are everywhere. These many kingdoms are. Netta, you know the truth, sister. You know the truth. It does sound like it. Yeah, everywhere you turn, the churches are out to conquer. They have to have a building everywhere. I remember when I was growing up, and our little church, was the only Adventist church that was in a wide region. So none of the surrounding communities had an Adventist church. The nearest Adventist church was in Lewis. That was the closest one, in Lewis. And so their objective was to get more churches, so that the people can have places to go to worship, because every Saturday morning people had to take bus, take taxi, walk, whatever to get to church. And so over the years, they have been successful in getting churches around. Right now, them have one down a Mount Edgecombe, and almost all the people from CLM gone a Mount Edgecombe, gone to worship. Them have one even down a Discovery Bay. Discovery Bay never used to have no church. So anybody in Discovery Bay who wanted to be an Adventist, they didn't have any church to go. They had to come all the way to CLM. They had to go all the way to Brownstown. But now them have churches. They are going into the areas and building church. I think Discovery Bay has a church now. Mount Edgecombe has a church now. And I don't know where else. So it's like the same thing. They are spreading their wings, collecting land, acquiring land, and mm, establishing churches. So that's how you establish your dominance. And whatever denomination you are promoting, that is how you you get more supporters, making yourself more visible. Hey, okay. All right, guys. That's how it ends for this morning. God say they were named after some descendant in their families too. Yes. After their fathers and forefathers and people they liked and people they didn't like, whatever the case is. Just like now, people name their children after their grandmothers and all that stuff. I wanted one of I didn't give any of my daughters my name, though I wanted to. And my mom was like, no, 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 no. Don't give none of your kids your name. Like, why? What's wrong with my name? And then I wanted one of my grandchildren to have my name. And my grandmother says, my mom said, no, no, no. I don't want them to have your name. And so my youngest granddaughter, we ended up combining my name and her father's mother's name together to give her a name. Like, what? What? I still got it, but I still had to share it. But anywho, I made the name anyway. I created the name, but I'm not telling her the name. Anywho, I'll tell you all one day, but just not today. Anywho, that is going to be the end of this morning's reading. It was an absolute pleasure being here. Absolute pleasure reading with you all. I sincerely, sincerely appreciate each and every one of you who have come into the live. You know what I mean? Yard food, right? Yes. It was an absolute pleasure being here as always, reading with you all. I hope you all enjoyed the reading as much as I enjoy bringing it to you. We have indeed learned a lot in the reading, and the more we read the Bible is the more we understand what this good book is about. The more we read it. And when you hear people saying they understand the good book, but they only read a verse at a time, you just look at them and don't even smile. Just keep walking. Just keep walking. Because you cannot know what is in a book by reading one verse. You only know what is in a book by reading the entire book and getting the context of what is being said in the book. So we are going to continue reading the book. We are currently on 2 Kings. So join us here every morning. Every morning. Join us here. If you put your notification bell on, you will hear when I come on. Because some mornings I will come on at 4. Some morning I'll come on at 5. It all depends on what I got going on that morning. I'll come on at 6, 7, sometimes later. Because if I work the night before and I get off work at 8, 8:30, I might come on by 9. So anytime between 4 and say 10 o'clock in the morning, you can listen for me. I will come on and we will be reading. And we are not going to stop until we get to the book of Revelation. And when we get there, we're going to start over and read it more diligently. By the time we're done here, you should know the Bible from back to front. And nobody should be able to tell you anything that's in there, will know what is in it and what is not. All right, guys. So that's going to be it for me this morning. I I hope you all have yourselves a great day. And Andrea, have yourself a great birthday, my love. I hope you have a fantastic day and stay out of the smoke. I hope they resolve the wildfires in Canada soon so that you all don't have to be dealing with all that smut and smog. All right. And that's going to be it from me for today. Thank you all so much for coming. And the people, the first three content creators who came into the live who got this 2 hour watch 2 hours of watch hour were Netta's Nest, Monea, and Lumasaba. And Lumasaba, since I know that it is my friend Andrew, I'm not gonna bite my tongue talking about Lumasaba. I'm gonna say Andrew, okay? All right, guys. So there is my friend Lumasaba Bible. Um he is the content creator who was Wabendo Andrew. So go ahead and follow him. All right. Have yourselves a great day, everybody, and I will see you all later. Out I go now to go finish the work I was doing last night. Have yourselves a great day, everybody.